Hi, it's Mike here. Thanks for joining me for another Make It video. Today we're going to be looking at this beautiful 3D butterfly botanical card from the CD of the same name. There you go. There's the Butterfly Botanical CD, and it's simple click and print technology, no installation required whatsoever. All you do is pop the disc into the drive on your computer. If you're using a PC, it will auto run and your welcome screen will open up on its own. If you're using a Mac, all you simply do is to click on the icon on your desktop when it appears and click on the home page, and you can then carry on using the disc. Now this disc is cram-packed full of fantastic butterfly botanically style card making sets. There's backing papers, there's inserts, there's toppers, there's lots and lots of great resources for card making and scrapbooking. So let's get on and show you how I made this card. So these are a couple of the sheets that I've printed off using the Butterfly Botanicals CD-ROM there. So this is a sheet with the sentiments on. So you can see it, you've got sentiments, thinking of you, congratulations on your anniversary, with love on your birthday, a couple of stampy kind of ones, with love on your birthday again, and happy birthday in different colour combinations. And there's two little backing paper panels there. So everything you need to make a card. Now this is the other sheet that goes, the companion sheet to this one. And this is how they're printed off from the CD. Now, slightly lied there, because that actually is two. So I've printed the companion sheet, which has got your main toppers on, your tuck-in items, and your layering decoupage butterfly layers, and your circle sentiments. But I've also printed it off again, a second time, on a sheet of that Deluxe Vellum. So you can see, you can actually see through the vellum. And we're going to incorporate some of the butterflies on the vellum onto the front of this card, so you can see exactly what kind of a look and feel it does give you. Now the vellum itself is a really versatile paper, because it is kind of paper, if you like. It can be used for parchment, so you can prick through it with you do all your parchment craft with it. And also this is a piece that I embossed using an embossing folder. As you can see, when you emboss it, the raised areas or the embossed areas turn white, which makes it a truly versatile vellum to be able to use. Imagine that with snowflakes, which I will use a piece on a project in a couple of weeks, so you'll be able to see it. But look at that, isn't that beautiful? So we're going to try and incorporate some vellum into this card. So the first thing I need to do is to go away and cut all these bits out, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I have everything cut out that I'm going to be needing, and I've taken some of that embossed vellum and I've just ripped it and distressed it a little bit. I've taken the main topper panel and I have already gone ahead and pre-scruffed it using my distress tool just along the edges, just to give it a little bit of extra texture. And I'll be doing the same thing to this piece, just adding a little bit of aging, scruffing to it, because we just want to add some texture and dimension to it, rather than just being a flat straight card with decoupage layers on or topper layers on foam pads. We just want to add a little bit of lovely texture. So I'm just scruffing up the edges, I'm not going too mad. There we go, on that one. I'm going to do the same thing on all of the layers, so just run it through the scuffing tool. And then we're going to add a bit of distress, a bit of aging to it as well. And 9 times out of 10 this is be better when you do it just in one direction towards you. But I am trying to keep things quick for us. So we've got lots and lots of different layers and textures. Now, the top one with the little map on, I've torn into 3 because I don't really want all 3 bits, but I do want to have some just to tuck in into the background. Okay, I've also cut out my butterflies from the vellum. So, yeah, so I've got all 3. This is trying to find the others. And I've punched out the stamps, and I've also got my happy birthday sentiment. So that I'm all ready to go. So I'm just going to take the Distress Vintage Photo, and I have an ink blending tool with a foam, my brown foam, so I always have one for each colour. And I'm just going to add a little bit of dirtiness to the edges, and it does help just to give it a little bit of a frame on each layer. Don't need to add a lot, and it doesn't matter if you get some on and it creases a little bit because it just adds to that aged effect. All I'm doing is just taking it along the edges of the card, just to give it that dirty effect. Not necessarily dirty, but just that aged effect, and just maybe a couple in the corners too. That one, and then we'll add a little bit of aging to this corner as well. Just rub some of that in. And that's it. Just to give it a bit of dirtiness. And I'm going to do the same thing to this, just to hide some of those white edges, just to add a little bit of that aging, so it all kind of tones together. And you can do the same thing with the butterflies on the stamps there as well. And then a little bit onto the sentiment, just to get rid of those white edges. So there's lots of different ways you can achieve the same effect by hiding all those raw edges. And then I have cut out one of my little pointy finger pieces, and we'll just go around the edge of that too, just to get rid of some of those imperfections in the cutting out, and just to make it look a little bit more aged. And we can do the same thing with everything, so it doesn't matter what order you do all this in, and you don't have to be mega precise, because that's the whole idea of it looking aged, as though the paper's got foxing and going a little bit brown. There we go, and it just brings it all together. So that should be it for the distressing. So we've got all our grunginess. We didn't actually add any onto the vellum, did we? So I'm just going to just add a little bit of that vellum. As you can see, it is picking it up in that pattern too. Just catching on the edges, just makes it look all part and parcel, and tie it all in. And you could, if you wanted to, just rub a little bit over the top. And there you see, all tones it together, makes it all look as though it all belongs. Okay, so we have lots of snow on the desk now, so I'm just going to give that a quick clean up. making sure I don't lose any of the pieces that I want. There we go. Dispense with the cutting mats, we're not going to need that anymore. So I have a cream card base, and this is just a standard 6x6 card base, and I'm going to go ahead and start layering down now all our lovely elements for the card. So I'm just going to use some wet glue for these. Wet glue gives you that wiggle room. And then just drop that down onto there, and then we can start positioning our backing pieces where we want them to go. So again, add in bits of glue, and this is where the fun comes in, you see, because you can make this up as you go along if you want. Stick it down at an angle, get some of that vellum, just pop some glue on it, and then layer that down. The vellum will work, the glue will work with the vellum, and then using the strips we can layer those together again to all down to texture, all down to texture, and then we can add in some of the butterfly stamps later. So now we have our main topper. So I'm just going to pop that to one side, and then just using some small foam pads, I'm going to apply one directly in the middle of each of those butterflies. Now if you wanted to use a small dab of silicone glue, you could do. I'm just going to layer the butterfly over the top on each one. Now we're using foam pads. Like I say, you could use glue, silicone glue, but because you've printed on the vellum, you won't see the foam pad. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn that over, and I have a sheet of pads which is waste from the foam pads. So I'm just going to take that off. And then I'm going to bring that back in, and then I'm going to stick that down exactly like so. Got all those butterflies sticking up. So already you see we've got loads of great texture going on with that. So with the butterfly, the stamps, we can just put a little bit of glue on one side, and then they can get tucked under. This is what we like about this kind of style, is that you can really go to town if you want to with your layers, because they do look great. ready. So now we just need to add in some little sentiment bits. So I'm just going to use some circular foam pads for this. I'm going to put one on the back of each one. And you don't even have to actually put a sentiment on this if you don't want to. You can actually leave it for a generic one. So we're going to have create, and then we're going to have love, and then we're going to have joy. So create, love and joy. And then I'm going to stick the finger, if you pardon the expression, just on with a little bit of glue, like so. And I'm going to do that pointing downwards, like so. And then if you wanted to put your birthday sentiment on, as I said, just pop it on a foam pad, and then you can put your sentiment wherever you choose to go on the card. And there you go. One Butterfly Botanicals 3-dimensional vellum butterfly card.